I ended up, and I went to Melbourne for a while, and from there I went over to Adelaide, and I ended up working my way up to far as the railway goes, Oodnadatta. And from there I ended up at Alice Springs, which is about 350 miles over the desert country to Alice Springs. And while at Alice Springs, I was a budding young communist then, you could say, just, you know, fancy ideas and that. And in Alice Springs, you can, if it's no bigger, it wouldn't be as big as what Lightning Ridge was back here 20 years ago. It had a post office there. That was 2 miles up the pass. That is Stewart. That is Alice Springs. Where Alice Springs is today, the right name for it is Stewart. Had a police station, Stockade. That's a big barbed wire entanglements around where they kept the prisoners. They had 3 blacks in chains there. I took a stand on that. Some expedition, mineral expedition was going on at the time. They were loading camels, dozens and dozens of camels, heavy machinery equipment. I think it's White Range. There's another big show out there too for, what do you call them, mica mines too. This just around a little after the period of Lassiter or Lassiter, what I can't I forget. And whilst at Alice Springs, I heard the story after seeing these 3 aboriginals in chains and their ankles sore as big as your fist. I started kicking up a stink and voicing my opinion, see? Like a young liberator, I thought I was a young communist, see? I knew nothing about communism then. Thought I did. And I'm sitting down in Kilgarris. 2 young railway workers had left the job at Kaffarine, that's the south end of the Northern Territory railway line from Darwin. They left their job and I'm sitting at the table having the meals. And I'm commenting and criticising the local setup in regard to Aborigines in chains. And I told him where I walked out to the police stockade, questioned the constable in charge of these 3 Aborigines who were watering the garden, hobbling around little short steps. I said to the police, with their big guns on their hip, I said, what are these fellows? And he saw stealing cattle. I said, no. I said, you couldn't say they're stealing cattle, mate. I said, we done the stealing when we took their land and took their kangaroos. I said, they could be spearing cattle. But I said, I thought this system, in regard to having prisoners in chains, was abolished with the old penal system 50, 60 years ago. Oh, no, he said, lad. He said, we make our own laws. They suit our own damn purposes. I said, what do you mean by that, sir? You've got to have some form of law. He said, what's ordinance? What's in ordinance? That's the book. So I was across the pub and I made these open comments to these 2 young fellas. For me, they were union fellas, they were AW fellas. And opposite, a few yards away over there, is an upper first-class table. I was the second-class division. Is the administrator of Central Australia. Central Australia was a territory on its own, then nothing to do with the Northern Territory. Miss Stanley, the Commonwealth school teacher there, she was under the Commonwealth control. Canberra had only been opened up 12 months previous to that, established. And I made a statement for the benefit of these other people to hear. And when the administrator, Colonel Abbott, heard me make the accusation that when I got back to Melbourne I intend to expose what I've seen. I said, apart from that, I've heard also, I said, a number of Aborigine on Old Tribe was wiped out in cold blood. And I said, I believe, from what I heard, the Aboriginal who speared Constable McCall, I know his brother, up here quite recently. Yeah. Got mining areas everywhere in New South Wales. He's dead too, he only died recently. I said, the Aboriginal didn't come from the tribe. And I said, they wiped out a tribe for nothing. I said, when I get back to Melbourne, I intend to get this a public exposure and to have an inquiry. Colonel Emmett, young fella, he said, I ask you to keep a still tongue in your head. Be very discreet in what you say. I said, if you wish to remain this territory safe and secured. I said, sir, I said, I'll ask you to mind your own damn business. I said, what I'm speaking here, I said, it's what I heard and know. I said, and it's so serious I'm going to have an investigation. And I said, if it affects you, sir, I said, it's in public interest, so you can do what you like. And I was telling these fellas then, and they didn't take no more notice. The police inspector or commissioner stopped. He had a part of his nose eaten away. He's sitting at the table having his meal with his administrator too, and Miss Stanley. She said nothing. And I made a statement that evening. I was going to send by mail the following day
Let's ring off, that's all, don't worry about it.
a statement making these allegations. And I said, it's my intention to find a JP and get me signature in the proper manner. When I go back to my room in the evening to get my gear together, get out of the hotel altogether because they knew everything, the statement was stolen. So these two young AW fellas about 23, 24, 25, they went with me. I had plenty of protection. And the manager's son of Undula's a property about 3,000 square mile, Undula, Ted Hayes, said, I'm going to Unadata. He said, we won't get down until the following day after tomorrow. He said, you can come with up to your boys. He said, the allegations you made, he said, he was having dinner there. He said, we can back you up, and any way you like, you can get the ball rolling. He said, my dad has always been on the side of the Aboriginal. We have a property, see, talking about this big station. So he took us and the two fellas, pull out in the evening about 5 o'clock. Next day, about midday, we pull up a kind of a, with a tank, they call it. It's a mission where they have supplies and that. Not a mission, they call it a mission. Camel tears pulling and everything, so there's nothing but no. This fellow had I don't know what, an international truck, very late model, that period, so don't forget it's 28. And